Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show here on the Kokomo Post, partnered with Robert Miller and Son Furniture here in Kokomo. My name is Drew Larison. This is MTM.
Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
I'm great. Sorry for the day delay to our viewers. I mean, I know we do that from time to time, but and then we were off last week because we were both
spring breaking and things like that. Things were wild. You know, this is a Drew issue.
Okay.
And it's a good thing. People were like mildly upset the show didn't happen yesterday. And inside of Drew's brain, I'm like, that's all right, we'll do it tomorrow. I didn't think like people would like miss it that much.
Right. Or I mean, and again, that's wonderful that they do because it's serving the point and
Exactly.
reaching that you know, you block it away and you expect it to be between 3 and 4 o'clock every Monday of the week. And so that's good that there's that anticipation and expectation. And so thus the reason why I apologize to our viewers that we had to move it today.
But here we are.
And then back out last week. So yes, here we are.
And
hopefully they're on and
we have
submitted questions.
14 pre-show questions today.
All right.
And I'm not going to lie.
Well,
some of them are paragraphs long.
Okay.
People got some questions today.
Okay.
Thank you for sending in those questions pre-show. And like I said, that we haven't had a show in a few weeks or a week, just to spring break travel and scheduling and things like that. But we are here today and we're excited about it. Thank you for sending those pre-show questions.
Absolutely.
If you're watching this live, make sure to put your questions that you might have for the mayor in the chat and I'll be pulling those over. But what have you been up to?
Hey, just actually, part of the reason we was hesitant or was not sure if we were going to pull it off today. Spent probably in the last couple of weeks, 3 days down at the State House, milling around the halls, talking to legislators because of what they're proposing on the property tax and also rolling in and potentially affecting business personal property tax. Adjusting that per the governor's direction and desire, which could drastically affect the funding that comes to municipalities, to schools, to libraries and such, to continue to provide the level of services that we do. And so I've joined with a handful of mayors throughout the state to, again, head down to the Indianapolis area, spend some time over in the halls of the State House talking to legislators to make sure that they understand what they're proposing affects and has the effect that it will on tax revenues that are received and go toward the expected services, not just from the cities and towns, but again, schools and libraries and such with whatever they decide to do or adjust with the Senate bill that's been proposed. So been a little busy.
I bet, yeah.
Monitoring that and just waiting for spring to break, which I think it has.
Yeah.
We're ready to start milling and paving, hopefully, if not by the end of this week, early part of next week. And so we'll see even more work being done. I know everybody's still excited and both positively and negatively on what the state Indiana Department of Transportation is doing along 931 with the removal of the guardrails. And right now, somebody jokingly said, and I'm surprised that they're putting so many speed bumps out along 931. Well, they're doing section some of its testing to check the under decking of the state road 931 before they do the total repavement. So it's just it's a little bumpy right now as they're doing those testing up and down each side of 931, but that will eventually be paved over and made nice, and medians still get some, hopefully some grass seed and such to keep those green and nice. The guardrails near each of the bridges will remain, of course, for obvious reasons. But no, I believe that the guardrails are being removed. And I know we've talked about it before, and I try to talk about it in other opportunities that I'm given, that a lot of folks mistakenly assumed that once the 31 bypass was constructed to the east, that 931 became the responsibility of authority of the city and the county here in Kokomo and Howard County, and that is not true. 931 is very much still a state road and state mandated or state maintained, and has authority over that, just like the 31 bypass, which is why they're doing that resurfacing and I guess beautification, if you want to call that, with the guardrails themselves right now.
A lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. You know where there also is a lot of stuff going on?
Probably here at the Kokomo Post, or maybe I bet even more so at Robert Miller and Son Furniture.
There it is. This guy, big brain. Unlock incredible savings this tax season at Robert Miller and Son. This April, enjoy a 30% off discount on all furniture. Plus, with a 0% interest financing for up to 60 months on eligible purchases, you can easily furnish your home with top-rated bestsellers like Lazy Boy recliners, Smith Brothers living room sets, and premium mattresses.
Unbelievable.
All while staying within your budget. Visit Robert Miller and Son today in Kokomo. 30% off all furniture. It's wild.
It is. It's crazy. And as they mentioned, tax day is next week.
Oh, yeah.
And so folks will be anticipating those returns. You can go right in and spruce up, buy something fresh and new for your home, living room, bedroom, kitchen, patio even.
So you talked a little bit, outdoor furniture is that time of year. You talked, a little bit about what you've been going on. Anything specific going on at City Hall other than what you talked about?
Those that have been by or tried to get into City Hall has seen that the Union Street entrance is currently under construction. We're busting up the concrete walk there and everything because what's happening, we removed the revolving doors there in the main entrance, going to just make double doors there, but then create kind of a breezeway, vestibule type of area similar to the east side of City Hall, that entrance, to not only create that little, again, vestibule or breezeway, but then for added security measures, we're going to put intercoms or even phones within each of those areas, but then be locking down City Hall for security measures. It's something that's been talked about for years and decades, and so now we're doing that, but still creating those areas that folks can get in and out of the elements if they need to, if it is bad, and still contact the police department after hours when City Hall hours are done for the day. So,
gotcha.
A little bit of construction down there. Outside of that, again, just meeting with various department heads, specifically street, wastewater for the street repaving we're going to do, catch basin and curbing and sidewalks in some areas to do. But again, sidewalks, that's already part of what is being planned and funded, or part of the sidewalk program that is already in place, not installing new sidewalks in areas where folks may want. Again, there's easement constrictions, with that as well. But just ready to get moving on a lot of the anticipated spring work that we want to see started.
Love it.
Yep, me too.
Awesome. Before we get into these questions, like I said, if you have any questions for the mayor, leave it down in the chat, the live chat below. I've got it pulled up on my laptop here, and I'll pull those questions over. But let's get into, because we got a lot of questions today.
Good.
And like I said, a lot of them are longer questions. So let's get into it. We have questions.
Great.
Most important is about Championship Park.
Excellent.
Since we closed down all the parks in town and forced to be playing at Championship Park, parents have concerns.
Okay.
Seems like it is just a way to make money. Local kids can't get enough field time to practice and now only have less than a handful of games there. They're selling field time to travel ball teams. I've now heard that even baseball is getting less game time to use at Championship Park. Also, softball should not be playing games at what they call Berkeley Field. And why can't we use Northwest Park to practice? Fields 4 and 5 should be for girls softball to practice. We understand the adults drink and play softball on fields 1, 2, and 3. They say no, kids can play at Northwest Park, but there are boys baseball tournaments there on the weekends and boys practicing there as well. Those are softball fields and girls can't practice there? ? We probably have to pay to practice there as well. Girls need fields to practice without grass in the infield. Carrie on Facebook.
Okay. So no, the Berkeley fields, which were predominantly for, I think she said for softball, and it's where the north side or Lafayette Park Little League was at one point relocated when the school or city, I don't know if it was the Kokomo School Corporation or if it was the city of Kokomo that had the Lafayette Park Little League there by Lafayette Park Middle School and Elementary, got moved out. But yes, those diamonds out there eventually became predominantly softball, but I don't think they need to pay to practice there. It's still a city park, and so they would make arrangements through the Parks Department as they would for field time on any of the remaining baseball diamonds at the individual neighborhood baseball fields, UCT, North Side, South Side, East Side over at Cutler Park. So there's still those fields available for practice time. Now, I get that it's not on turf, and so it's a little different, but there's still those opportunities. There's also still a diamond down at Foster Park, but anyone interested in using those diamonds, and even out at Northwest Park, I mean, I can check with the Parks Department, but if there's not already scheduled practice times or games out at Northwest Park, teams have the opportunity to use those fields for practice. When games aren't going on, they would just need to contact the Parks Department and reserve those diamonds for those times or days. And as my understanding, I don't believe that there's a fee for that. If there is, I mean, I'll check and find out. Now, if a certain league comes in, you know, even whether it's Bullpen Sports, which is managing Championship Park, you know, needs additional fields, if there's probably a fee because of the use agreement we have with them. But if it's just local teams needing to practice, they should be able to work that out with the Parks Department. As for the field time and game time and such, I know having everybody out at Championship Park now, you know, is a challenge, but because there's 8 diamonds out there, I mean, each of the small neighborhood parks only had 2 diamonds with some outside. I mean, so you usually had a major league field and a minor league field, and if again there was those 4 fields, then that kind of equates to the number of fields, you know, that are being available out at Championship Park. Yes, they share time with softball, but if the softball leagues, you know, want to, I mean, we can probably look at some type of arrangement with Berkeley Park if they want softball solely out there and not at Championship Park. That's something that I think the Cubs organization, and Cubs is the KUBS, Kokomo United Baseball and Softball League, that the leadership there could very well make arrangements with the city and take over that park, and we can look at ways to accommodate the softball teams there, and possibly even out at Northwest on nights that there aren't already adult leagues playing, because that is a busy time during the summer. But whether or not folks are drinking out in the parking lot shouldn't matter. I mean, they're not supposed to be. I get that there probably is, but because of that environment, I don't think that that's the reason why fields that may be available on those nights aren't being made available to other groups or teams and such that would like to use the diamonds if they contact the Parks Department. So kind of a long answer, but
it was a long question.
I mean, I'd be happy to look into it, that if teams need more time on the fields, and I understand that it's not turf that they'd be playing on out at Championship Park, but we can definitely try to make sure that our local teams get more of a priority in the use of those diamonds for practice outside of time on Championship Park, or even this summer will be a handful of the teams are going to be playing some of the games, you know, at Municipal Stadium on the big field, at least for this summer, you know, during the week. About, I think, the same nights as their normal league nights, with again, the opportunity for some of the travel baseball teams to have additional games down there on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
So I remember when Championship Park came to be, this was a big conversation about, like, where will our kids play? Will they have to pay? Right. Is it like all of this? So for a lady like Carrie, who it sounds like it's definitely some scheduling things, but it also might sound like she believes there's some bias to baseball compared to softball availability and things like that, because she's right. A softball field is a very different experience than a baseball field when it comes to practicing, right? There's no grass in the infield in a softball field. So if your kid is practicing in grass, it's not going to translate to the game, the speed of the ball being hit to them and things like that. Where does Carrie go? Is it Parks Department? Is that where they should be directed to ask these questions? I mean, obviously, I love that we've started the conversation on this show, but it sounds like she was to a point where she didn't know where to go other than a frustrated comment. You know, where does Carrie go for this?
So practice time and game time and the accommodations made for the girls teams versus the boys teams, or softball versus baseball, because there are girls that play baseball as well. But softball versus baseball should start with the leadership of the Cubs organization that now manages the schedules and the games and field time and such through bullpen. But then also if there's a desire to specifically look at Berkeley Park and see if there's a way to move softball, if they don't mind being, to take over that park, we can definitely look at that possibility, but that would be a conversation with the Parks Department first as well. So leadership of Cubs, Parks Department for non-championship park diamond usage.
Got it. Okay. This next question is from Colt on Facebook, and City Hall had posted a advertising type of graphic about housing and like people that are needing and like
It's Fair Housing Month.
Correct. Yeah. So this is where that question comes from. Please ask him why the City Hall Facebook page shares graphics about landlord abuse with HUD links that are dead. They redirect to HUD's main page, and a phone number that goes to an answering machine. Why aren't these graphics vetted? A person needing real help will get nowhere with the links provided in the graphic. Is he aware that HUD has been gutted? Does he know that the organization that enforces these rules are essentially dissolved since their funding was pulled? My last question, what does he expect people to do when they become victims as laid out by these graphics when there is no more federal recourse? Do you not possess the resources to police these landlords in our town? How much free range should the corporations and out-of-state investors that own so many rentals here have on shelter for your constituents? What kind of city will be left if no one can afford rent and these houses are uninhabitable? A thoughtful response is appreciated. Colt on Facebook.
Okay. A lot to that, so I'll try and
it's the theme of the day. Long questions today.
Yeah. So, first of all, I apologize for the dead links or the numbers that go to answering services. I mean, they're, I would assume, links to the federal agencies, the Housing of Urban and Development, for starters. And if he's saying that department or that federal department is now gutted, I hadn't heard that. I know that there's a lot of Doge going on and government agencies that are losing funding and employees and such, but I hadn't heard that the Department of Housing and Urban Development had been one of those drastically hit yet, either employees or funding, but we'll definitely look into it. A lot of that information is information that we as a municipality have received and are sharing that. And so, maybe it was wrong for us to post that without ourselves going and checking to see where those links are going. As for numbers that go to answering services, I think everybody's kind of gone to that. I mean, you call in, you hit 1 for this and 2 for that and 3 for that in order to get to where they need to go. But then the available housing and such, I know that properties that are owned privately, if there are unfair practices being experienced by homeowners, by these property owners, obviously they need to report that either they can, for starters, possibly with the police department or with the planning commission, to make sure that what's being done or what's being offered or provided is in fact legal and up to code and such. Code enforcement's another one too. But as for what we're hearing, what would be considered price gouging and such on rentals and such, unfortunately, that's becoming the nature of the beast with the market, with the limited amount of inventory and availability, and the amount of rents that other property owners are receiving in the current market, with the number of workers that have been in to build a lot of the development that's happening, as well as some of the workers that are coming in as well with housing stipends and such. It's unfortunately the market driving it, and I don't know. It's a fine line. It seems like that we as the government, kind of has to walk in those cases. I mean, yes, if something is receiving federal funds and it's part of the housing authority's footprint, that now a handful of those are now owned by a private company, but are receiving the housing vouchers through the housing authority, because they now don't own the assets or the facilities themselves, just manage the vouchers. So if there are properties that are receiving funding in that respect that are gouging, or the housing is less than adequate, or they feel it's being compromised in some way, if it is subsidized, then they should start first with the housing authority to get them involved to go after the property owners of those. But as for homes that are being bought up by investors and made available to rent and such, and those rents pricing people out of the availability or affordability, it's a constant struggle that we face, because again, it's market driven, and there are some things that people say the government needs to say they shouldn't tell me how to run my business or what to charge my product, or whatever the case may be. In this case, shouldn't come in and tell us what we can or can't charge for rent. But then when somebody needs, it's like, well, the government needs to come in and tell us what we can. I mean, so
it depends on what situation they're in,
right? Yeah. And so it's something that we are looking at. A lot of what we are trying to bring now, housing wise, to Kokomo, because there's at least 3 or 4 housing developments, and the majority of those, yes, there are some that are market rate, but there's some that are being considered affordable, which doesn't mean they're subsidized. If it's affordable housing, it doesn't mean that it's HUD related or subsidized. It just means it's meant to be priced at a level that people that make a certain level of income, which current, that we would qualify for as well, is available to rent also. So it's a struggle, because we do hear that the people are getting priced out, or people having to move or make other arrangements because the landlords are raising their rents on them. But a lot of that, unfortunately, is market driven, and it's something that we need to continue. And if landlords or property owners are setting rents at a certain level that people can't afford, at some point, if
no one's going to rent,
which will force them to then lower their rent to try and get people in there. So, I mean, it could be a waiting game, as well as the inventory continues to grow in Kokomo, that once the market begins to get a little more saturated, then hopefully that will level out a lot of those rent prices as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Game.
Okay. Next question is from Derek.
Hope I got them all.
Yeah.
Cody.
Derek on Facebook, and it's 3 parts. 3 parts to this question. The first one is about Social Security services. Are there any plans to advocate for the continued accessibility of Social Security services in our city, particularly for the senior citizens and individuals with disabilities who rely on these services?
With Social Security being a federal agency and they have their standalone facility, there's not a whole lot that the city has any authority or jurisdiction over, or influence to. And now, if people again feel that Social Security is failing or having struggles with or whatever, we can certainly try to address those with the local Social Security office, or get with our congressman or congresswoman to address those issues. But unfortunately, Social Security is out of the realm of city responsibility. So
Okay. Next question is about the topic of DEI, which stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. What steps is the city taking to ensure all residents, regardless of background, feel welcome and included? Are there any local programs or partnerships aimed at fostering a diverse and inclusive community?
I know that that has been on the top of a lot of folks' minds, seeing what's being done at the federal level and the state level. I don't know of any initiatives that are doing away with DEI, diversity, equality, and inclusion efforts.
Equity and inclusion.
Equity, sorry. That we didn't have a specific department or individual in that. I know it had an effect on our local Ivy Tech campus. And so outside of any specific initiatives, I know the city still has a Human Rights Commission. That has not been disbanded. And a lot of folks don't realize that that does exist, that if folks feel that they're discriminated against or that they're not being treated fairly or included, that they can file a complaint to the city's Human Rights Commission, and they would take that under advisement, possibly have a hearing and get involved and help try to find a solution for those individuals. So we could start doing, what little we do to advertise or raise awareness on that, we can definitely start making that available if folks feel that those initiatives, whether it's business or school or something that we can look into. But outside of that, there are a number of organizations I know. Our Howard County Ministerial Association, which is kind of the group of churches and a few nonprofits in our area that work on initiatives jointly for churches, and so that's more faith-based. But outside of that, just continuing to support programs and such through our YMCA, through urban outreach, through Bridges for the students, and then a handful of our nonprofits as well. United Way is a great resource and advocate for helping folks work through issues that they may face as well. So that would be a good resource. But there's nothing specific coming out of all that's happening, at the state and federal level, outside of, what's the adjustments have been made out at Ivy Tech's campus, but just that we continue to go and support a lot of the initiatives and events and such that support those various aspects of that. But I guess going back to the Human Rights Commission, we can start kind of marketing their existence and availability to folks that feel that any DEI efforts are being lost or being overlooked.
Got it. And his last question was for community safety and immigrant protections. How does the city work with law enforcement and community organizations to ensure that all Kokomo residents, including immigrants, feel safe and have access to necessary resources? Derek on Facebook.
Yeah, so I know we don't have as many interpreters within the departments. I know with the recent influx of Korean nationals, there have been efforts in partnership with the Greater Kokomo Economic Development Alliance to allow businesses to be introduced to the Korean culture. Our first responders, went through some cultural training as well. Some of our fire trucks, have translation cards on them to help communicate. We've also made resources available to the corporations that have recently come in. And so there's that. I know there's also been talk that, not just with the Korean nationals, that are in, but recognizing that with them, as well as a number of the other nationalities that have been a part of Kokomo for a number of years, even decades, and some of the neighboring communities that also have other international folks in that looking at possible international festivals. I know that the IUK has one every year, but either partnering with IUK or having a separate one opposite that they would have to help raise awareness and introduce citizens to the various cultures that are interwoven the fabric of our community right now. But outside of that, yes, we probably need to work more on having city resources translated into various languages as well, instead of relying that on the individuals or organizations themselves.
Got it. Okay.
Good stuff.
Some deep questions so far.
Yeah.
Deep questions.
Yeah.
Now,
I love it.
Michael's going to break it up a little bit.
Okay.
Michael, we've been doing the show for a while. This might be my favorite comments and questions ever. Michael on Facebook. Let's find out why this city has the most jacked up stoplights in Indiana. Green arrows and nobody's in the turn lane, and I have more light issues I can bring up. Maybe they think no one in Kokomo has nothing better to do but sit at lights. We're only on this planet for so long.
Right? Yeah. And he's
concerned about his time on this planet. But yeah,
spent at stoplights.
Yes. Yeah.
So while our time here on this beautiful earth of ours is limited, spending more time than we need to at stoplights, I get as a frustration. And because so many of those are automatic or linked to sensors and such that are in the pavement, they're electronic devices, and from time to time those electronic devices fail, or the timing on them and switch. And so a lot of times if we I sit at some too, and I'm like, man, it seems like forever, but if you time it.
Wait, I've heard a rumor you have like a remote control when you're driving around. That's like a mayoral privilege, right?
That's what I used to tell my kids. And you'd watch the lights on the opposite way, and you'd kind of wave your hand, and then it would turn green. I'm like, whoa! But then they figured it out later. But no, some of our emergency response vehicles have those indicators where they can adjust the lights, especially on 931 to control those lights, for quicker access to respond. But no, a lot of times, again, just as timing, continues to lengthen and such, sometimes we're not aware of an issue, or if something's malfunctioned, or I even know that there for a while, I think it was about a month and a half ago, I was getting calls about the lights out at Dixon or 200 West and State Road 26, and unfortunately that light's NDOT's. And again, if it's if it's an intersection that crosses a state road or is part of a state road, unfortunately, we need to follow up with Indiana Department of Transportation to address those. But within the city, if there are sensors and such, if something does seem off, please text me.
Yeah. Because those are changeable.
Yes. So we can we can send our traffic department out there to test those. And again, sometimes it's the sensors underneath the pavement that aren't triggering correctly. So if there's something, send us an email, contact the engineering department, and they can coordinate that with the traffic department and street maintenance and get that addressed. But always like to know if something seems off, or even at night when there's no traffic going on, you're sitting in the light and like, really, there's nothing coming. Sometimes it's after it stays green, red or green for a long period of time, it may have something in it that just goes and triggers it just to keep it moving. But yeah, definitely let us know if there's issues, or if there seems to be a longer than normal period for either a turn arrow or a red light versus green light. Again, it could just be a small malfunction or a recalibration of the timer.
Got it. Okay. Next question is from Sheila on Facebook. Hey. What is he going to do about the shortage of teachers?
What I'm going to continue to lobby on their behalf for, again, this property tax adjustment that the state legislature and the governor's proposing, because anything that affects the school funding trickles down to the teachers. But unfortunately, the city has no jurisdiction over or authority over the various school corporations and their hiring and such. But I guess in any way that the city can partner with the schools on certain, either small projects or initiatives and such that would allow either additional funding or to free up funding to work towards teachers. I mean, that would definitely be part of our initiative, but a lot of that too is just getting folks interested in teaching. And unfortunately, teachers, I think, are definitely underappreciated in every level, whether it's preschool and kindergarten up to high school and college and technical. But to try and I guess create or help the schools create an environment in our schools or in our communities that would encourage folks to consider the profession of teaching. We do what we can to help with that, but a lot of that just comes down to parents also kind of directing kids down that career path as well. But like I said, they have a struggle, and it takes a special kind to be a teacher, and so we appreciate that. But there's not a whole lot that we can do outside of helping with job fairs or anything that the schools may have to try and get students encouraged into following a teaching profession.
That is one of those things. I mean, our country, we've done a lot of great things. We've accomplished a lot of great things. We've solved a lot of really great problems. The thing I'll never understand is I don't think there is one human on this country of ours that thinks teachers shouldn't be recognized and paid more, yet it just doesn't happen. And I'll always be blown away by that. Next question is through Michael through email.
Okay.
I love the improvements that the city keeps making towards its parks and trails.
Awesome.
It helps. Well, I'm not done. No, okay, it's fine. It helps to promote a love of nature and overall health. My question revolves around the hill at Jackson Morrow Park. It's great that it was put in, as this is the Kansas part of the state when it comes to topography. Not only does it add beauty to the spacious park, but it gives a nice chance for viewing as well as sledding for families. I felt for a while that the city and park would benefit from a secondary larger hill that is even possibly connected to it. It gets especially packed and busy during the winter, and many older ones would love the chance to add a bigger thrill. Obviously, it takes some money and dirt. I know one of the source that I would be happy to talk about is, hold on a second. I know of one source that I would happy to talk about if this project could happen. The local area lacks big bodies of water and much of the wilderness for the public to hike through, but I feel something like this could help promote Kokomo as a city actively pursuing healthy lifestyles and maybe even put them on the map for winter fun. Michael through email.
Okay.
Build a hill.
Build a hill.
Let's build a mountain.
Yeah.
Brady would love that.
Right?
Hop on a snowboard.
Exactly. Maybe a little toboggan run or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You're right. It would take a lot of
Was
dirt.
that hill in Jackson Morrow man-made?
That
I've never thought about that.
I never thought it was either. I mean, it very well could be.
It is kind of random now that I think about it.
Yeah. We kind of joked when I was still commissioner and partnered with the city when they started the work on the Ivy Hills subdivision down on the south end, again off of State Road 26. That right across 26 is county, and so the 26 is the city limit area, but the county we dug a big detention pond to take a lot of the runoff from the Ivy Hill subdivision stuff. And so when that big, it's either detention or retention, I guess retention area, all that dirt was piled right next to it. And so there's a hill right there. Now unfortunately it's a little probably too close to State Road 26 because as you come in, there's not a lot of places to park and such, but that would be a great opportunity if the landowners, because that's part of it too. I mean, it's privately owned on either side of it, but that would be one. But yeah, we can definitely look at again as we find ways to repurpose our small neighborhood parks, possibly something in one of those areas, or but yeah, it would take a lot of dirt. I know there's a lot of dirt getting moved now, but I don't know. I guess I hadn't thought about doing a larger hill than the one at Jackson Morrow, but we can, I guess, look at that possibility as things continue to develop and such. But just hadn't been on anybody's radar. I know a lot of folks go to a few of the golf courses here in town and take advantage of those hills and that topography to do a little bit. So I don't know, something to look into.
Great thought, Michael.
Think about
it. Next question is from Carl on Facebook, our good buddy Carl. Okay. He was one of those that was upset that we didn't do the show yesterday. So sorry, Carl. Hopefully you're watching now. Yep. All right. He wants to know, why don't the people of Kokomo get told what businesses are new or are closing? He said, you have to find out on your own. Mm-hmm. So Carl, I don't fully know what maybe like a city newsletter is what you're maybe suggesting, or do you want City Hall to announce every new business? Because I mean, there's a bunch of business opening every day in Kokomo.
Right, and a lot of times they use social media for those openings and to get information out in front of people. I mean, whether they're opening or closing. I know as businesses open, or if they've been open, as they become members of the Chamber of Commerce, then advertises and not only throws things out on social media, but email blasts as well to its current members. There's great online presence like the Kokomo Post that features.
Yeah, you're watching it, Carl.
That features businesses, whether they're new or existing, as well, to help promote all things good in Kokomo. But outside of that, really, I guess whatever methods these businesses use, a lot of them, again, with social media, a few handful use the Kokomo Tribune, since that's the local publication, but other online resources. I mean, that's probably the best. I guess we could even, as a city, work with the Planning Commission, and as businesses get through site development. I mean, that's a good way too. I mean, you can always attend the Planning Commission meetings, and the next one is actually tonight, to see what businesses are coming and what site plans are being approved by the Planning Commission themselves. I mean, so every third Tuesday of the month is the Planning Commission meeting down at City Hall at 5:00, and so that would be a good place, or even the Planning Commission office itself. But that's true. I guess we could start utilizing our resources with the website and, again, social media, just like others, to help announce when businesses are opening, and go from there. But otherwise, it's just a lot of them use social media, a little bit of print ad and such, and so that would be probably the best. And so that'd be my suggestion.
Okay.
Keep following social media.
Next question, and sorry if I don't pronounce, I've never seen this name before, but Lawney, Lawney on Facebook. Our streets definitely need some repairs now that winter is over.
Amen. The
floor is yours.
There are so many streets in the city of Kokomo that need attention. A good handful that will be addressed yet this year. We're still working in a handful of alleyways as well. But again, and I know we've talked about it before, we get some part-time work in around May, June, and into July that go and take an assessment of all the streets in Kokomo, rate them, and give them a score, and then prioritize those to see which ones need addressed the most. Some of those are due to traffic patterns. I mean, I know there are some areas that may have been overlooked and neglected for decades, but if it's like a cul-de-sac, or there's not a large traffic volume on there, it may not work its way to the top. But at the same time, if we put out the list and say this is what we're going to address, and there's an issue that comes up or something that kind of snuck up under the radar or something going on, then that list can adjust as well. But totally agree. And that's when people ask what's the most frustrating, part of your job. My response is, where to go next and what to do next. And a lot of it does have to do with infrastructure, specifically streets and alleyways. Some of it, sanitation services as well to, some of the annexed areas that were brought into the city limits, over 10, 12 years ago. And just finding the funds to do that, which again, going back to what we talked about at the beginning, what I've been up to, if the state is working on reducing the amount of property tax that folks pay, which then reduces the amount of tax revenue that goes to the municipalities, then unfortunately the only way we can make those adjustments on less tax revenue coming in is looking at the services or the amount of streets that may get addressed. So totally agree. And, folks get tired of, patch jobs being done or going from cold mix to hot, even as we pave, we'll still probably have patch buggies out addressing areas that won't get a full resurface or in some areas it may just be a short, maybe 20, 30 foot section as opposed to the entire street, just because time wise and resource wise, we're addressing that, doing some patchwork in sections and such, which is a frustration of mine as well, that we can't do the whole entire stretch, or as we're doing a stretch, can't work our way around the corner and such. But again, a lot of that depends on traffic volumes and, the conditions that may be affecting either above ground or underground in some of those areas. But our street maintenance guys and engineering department do the best job they can to get addressed and repave what we can with the limited amount of time that Mother Nature gives us, as well as resources, either funding wise, manpower wise, or money wise.
Got it. Next question is from Eddie on Facebook. Hey. Are you going to lower property taxes? It's just too much.
Isn't it? I know it. That's what the state legislature is working on now. But what everybody's losing sight of, and we kind of talked about it with the rents, but the same thing, because in the last, 5 years, at least 5 years, 6 years or so, the inventory of available homes for sale on the market has been reduced. And so it's a supply and demand thing. I mean, as folks want to buy new and do more, or I guess improve their living situation, or that maybe they've got a new job and is able to and are able to afford a better home and such, because the amount of those homes available are so few and have been for the last handful of years, that drives up the sales price on those. I mean, again, supply and demand. There's greater demand than supply, and so the available supply, it's going to cost more in order to acquire it. And then what that does or translates to as the market value of home sales continues to rise, those get reported to the county. The county uses those market values to then translate that into assessed valuations, and assessed valuations then are what are used to calculate the property taxes.
Property taxes really they choke you up.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's just
a lot of emotion.
I know.
It's so high.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But so with that, I mean, yes, we can look at the tax rate, as a municipality or as a taxing agency, but ultimately, the tax rates are going to be used to calculate the property taxes due on the assessed values that are reported. And a lot of that is because assessed values continue to rise with the way market. I mean, it's, again, kind of that delicate line. It's like, I don't want to pay more property taxes, but if you decide to refinance or if you want to sell, my house is worth this much. If I'm selling or whatever, but if I'm taxing, my house is only worth this much. I mean, so it's
and then there's assessed value compared to what you actually can get for it. It's such a tough balance, because in a way, in one mindset, we should be pumped that our property taxes went up, because that means the value of our investment of our home went up. So I mean, it's tough.
Either fortunately or unfortunately, what folks don't realize as well is that ideally, I mean, not ideally, but in one respect, everybody should be paying more property taxes than they do. But the state legislature back in 2008 wrote into the Constitution, because it was a referendum vote made, statewide, and the vast majority of Hoosiers voted to put property tax caps into the Constitution. And so we have property tax caps in place. So there's already, kind of a limit or relief in place that if your home's worth, $200,000, that your property taxes, you would only pay a maximum of $2,000, on that, because it's 1% on residential is 1% on that. But because of the tax rate, once it's calculated based on the tax rate and your assessed value amount, your taxes may have come out to $2,700, but because of the tax caps, you're already receiving a $700, tax relief, so to speak, because those caps are in place. And so a lot of people don't know, because they don't see the calculations made or don't pay attention to the breakdown that's attached to your tax bills when you receive them, show what the calculations were, and then the adjustment based on what that amount was to get down to at least the cap. And the good majority of residential properties in the city of Kokomo are paying the 1% cap. I mean,
sure,
it's calculated higher. I mean, so properties, should, I shouldn't say ideally, but would normally or regularly, if it was maybe another state, would be paying more. But because those constitutional tax caps are in place, people are already receiving, a tax break, so to speak, on that. But again, goes back to what AVs are. Yep. So the assessed values and the valuations that are assigned to people's properties are what are really driving property taxes up, not what the tax rates that are established and such. These tax rates are based on the budgets that are proposed. The State Board of Accounts and Department of Local Government Finance look at those, and they approve what tax rates the municipalities get to charge and the amount of growth that they get, and that's what affects taxes.
Next two questions are both on sidewalks, so I'm going to read them at the same time. First one's from Jen on Facebook. Sidewalks. It'd be nice to have them in many places. We live off Boulevard, close to 31. Many people walk and want to, but it's become very dangerous to do so without sidewalks. Also Goyer. Maybe other places could use them. And then Sandy on Facebook also says sidewalks could definitely need out on Berkeley from the jail to Sycamore. A lot of people walk through there. Winter time, they have to walk in the street. Too dangerous for them and the drivers. Sandy and Jen on Facebook.
So both of those areas we've talked about before, and so it's good that it got brought back up and that they're hearing this and able to share it. So the Goyer Road between Boulevard and Markland is a project that is slated to be completed either in 27 or 28, and a lot of that, again, is based on the amount of funding that we get federally and from the state to go towards that, because the size and scope of the project. So Goyer Road is coming here in the next next few years, and so it'll be a reconstruction of Goyer Road, but then there will also be sidewalks for the folks in that area. Same way with Berkeley between Markland and Sycamore, or the jail and the hospital. Berkeley is slated the same time frame, either Goyer first and Berkeley second, or Berkeley first and Goyer second, but both of those projects are forthcoming here in the next 2, 3, potentially 4 years, depending on funding and design and such. But Berkeley will also be reconstructed, and it will only have one sidewalk on the west side of that. It won't be a sidewalk on both sides, just on that side. And as we've talked about it before, areas that don't have sidewalks, a lot of that is because either one, it wasn't developed that way to begin with, or there aren't easements available, legal easements available to the city, that any type of improvements that can be made within those easements without obtaining additional approval or authorization from the property owners. And when those aren't in place, which is part of the delay on Berkeley, was getting the or will be what's addressed with Berkeley, is getting the permission and purchasing right-of-way easements along those properties in order to make improvements on their legally owned property.
Okay, got it. Sidewalk questions done.
Yep.
Sue on Facebook wants to know about a dog barking all night.
Ooh.
We have no one who will help us. The police and the Humane Society will not do anything. What are we supposed to do? Sue on Facebook.
And
pet the dog. Probably just needs a pet.
Or throw him some meat. That's not an isolated case. We regularly get whether it's my office or whether it's the police department or whether it's Humane Society calls and complaints about dogs barking in the wee hours of the morning. It's unfortunate that that neighbors aren't more respectful to those around them and either bring the dogs in or find ways to keep that from happening. But right now, I mean, I know it would probably fall under a noise ordinance, but the noise ordinance would be reaching a certain decibel at a certain amount, and dogs don't. And
it's going to bring a machine out there to record the decibels of the dog.
But I know that both the city and county had been approached to consider some type of animal ordinance on what conditions animals are kept in, what type of animals are in, and possibly have some enforcement for overnight or the same hours that are in the current noise ordinance coincide with that. But a lot of that comes with enforcement as well. And also if they're looking at, if we've been asked to consider kind of a joint ordinance, what areas, I mean, what things, if you're out in the, outside of the city limits, folks are like, oh, well, it shouldn't matter. We shouldn't have the same restrictions, but there's a handful of subdivisions and neighborhoods outside of the city limits that have folks living in close proximity to each other that come into play when there's the talk of live animals, not just cats, dogs, and such. But I know that the county was dealing with a property or two out west, but that's something that we can consider looking at and possibly legally writing in and doing as part of an animal ordinance. But a lot of that would then fall under enforcement as well, if it's something that the Humane Society comes out and enforce, or if it's code enforcement, or if it's police, if they're able to issue a citation or a violation fine of sorts to property owners in those situations. But it may be that
it's tough.
It's tough. I mean, because at some point, if people are working late or they're coming, or the dog's chomping at the bit, and it's got to get out, and it's 2 a.m. and you feel bad, and so you let him out and chasing a cat or a squirrel, for a few minutes, and I think they're barking all night. I mean, is it a dog barking for 30 minutes or longer? Is it 50 minutes or longer? Is it an hour? I mean, so a lot of things to take into consideration, and just how to monitor it, how to report it, and then how to enforce it. So delicate issue, but one that is an ongoing issue nonetheless.
Next question is from Donovan on Facebook. What are the new apartments that are going to be in Vinton Woods subdivision?
In Vinton Woods subdivision. I think those, I'm trying to get, are those the ones, is that off of Webster? In any case, I know that many of the complexes that are going in now are much needed and are in slowly in production. I know a few of them are going through site prep now, which has caught everybody's attention on sites being cleared. But yeah, I think the Vinton Woods ones are the ones that are just just north of Vinton Woods, right along Webster. They kind of butt up to Primrose and around Rainbow Drive and such. So, but yeah, so that's a developer out of Peru that's putting those in. And again, those are anticipated to be affordable, which again, doesn't mean subsidized, doesn't mean government housing. It doesn't mean, vouchers and such. It's just those that are going to have the availability for those that would be at or just below market rate.
Gotcha. You doing okay?
I am.
We got 3 more questions.
Ooh.
As of right now.
It's a long show for
long
everybody.
episode.
Everybody's,
I know.
Appreciate everybody hanging in there.
Next question is from Becky on Facebook. What updates are being made at Jackson Morrow Park play area, and is the jungle gym with the death hole at the top being replaced? And also, when is the splash pad projected to be finished? Becky on Facebook.
Becky at Facebook.
Becky with the good hair.
Becky with the good hair. So the pump house and bathrooms for the splash pad is completed. We're waiting for Indian American Water to complete the work that they need to get the water there, and then the splash pad should be constructed, yet late this spring, early summer. Our fingers are crossed on that. But yeah, the playground equipment, we've got new playground equipment coming in. Not sure about the death hole that she's talking about. I might have to be back.
That's an interesting term.
I've not been out there in the play area for a number of years now, since my kids are much larger.
You should, though. Imagine if you just took that upon being mayor and you know what? I think I'm going to take this on myself. I'm going to go play on all the playgrounds to make sure they're up to. I think it's good.
So I'll check out. But if there's, because I know that the current play area is being addressed as well. So with what's being done out there, it's not complete yet. But hopefully whatever appears to be a safety issue or safety hazard will be addressed by the contractors and the Parks Department accordingly. But yeah, Jackson Morrow's getting some fun stuff right across Webster, where the other skate park is. I mean, we're in the process of possibly demolishing and doing away with that skate park, but there's an Eagle Scout doing his Eagle project and putting in a dog park just off of that parking lot there. So a little extra love to Jackson Morrow. But in place of the skate park, we're looking at kind of maybe a nature walk type of preserve, maybe some water items, small walk bridges and such, but just kind of a nature walk area close to just off that parking lot and next to the soon-to-be dog park.
There you go. Next question is from Clayton on live chat. Hey. Is Chick-fil-A 100% done deal, or is there still hoops it needs to jump through?
It's a done deal. The only hoops they need to jump through are probably their financing and
should be fine.
Getting things finalized to start breaking ground. I'm not sure when they're breaking ground yet. Again, that probably a lot of that depends on availabilities of crews for their contractor and their agreement with the property owner when to start the construction in there.
Got it. Last question is from Kevin on live chat. Hey. I know I've mentioned it last time. I just want to express that the road by the courthouse on Sycamore is just getting worse and worse.
It is.
Can the city talk to the railroad about fixing this issue?
We did, and they have agreed to allow us to pave over the rails. They've asked us not to remove them. So now we're looking at, because it dips the way it does, it's not just a easy, quick little repavement. We probably have to build some of it up so that, again, runoff and such works its way to the sides of the streets. And so we're in the process now of looking at how best to address Buckeye Street from Superior Street, because there's even been some work done between Sycamore and Superior, but from Superior Street at least to Walnut or Mulberry. So
okay. Progress.
Yes, I totally agree. It's a mess.
It's something.
Another thing too that I hope to address as well, because a lot of the brickwork that's been done in and around on the sidewalks, around the trees and such, is starting to bust up and move and such. And so we're having a consulting group do a downtown feasibility study for us to get an idea of what can be done, costs involved, but some of the brickwork, maybe in sections, start looking at getting that replaced or repaired. So
got it. Okay.
Going on that too. All kinds of stuff. There's just, again, where do we start? Where do we prioritize? And pray to God that we're not affected too much by whatever work comes out of the legislature and trying to address some type of property tax relief to folks.
Got it. We did it.
We did it.
16 question show. Wow. Thank you so much, Kokomo.
What time is it?
It is 4:17. So probably right around an hour runtime, a little bit more.
Okay.
We did it. 16 question show. Thank you guys so much for submitting those questions previously, before the show, and then obviously the live questions too. I don't know if you could, but if you have any more questions, please leave them in the chat below. We'll get them for next week, as well as we posting clips of the
send me an email, mayor@cityofkokomo.org.
It's possible too.
Go to our Facebook page. A lot of people go to the Facebook pages and throw comments. We got somebody monitoring those as well. Be as respectful as you can, and provide solutions many times, as well as pointing out things. But yeah, there too.
Gotcha. But thanks for that. And do you have a dad joke for us today?
Oh,
goodness gracious.
I know.
Your brain is fried. You don't need to do it if you want.
First of all, congratulations to the Florida Gators.
I guess.
For pulling off.
Brady won the office bracket.
There you go.
I came in second.
So, but come to find out, I mean, what got them past, I guess, to go the distance and then pull it off at the end was everything that they were drinking before the game and during the game.
I mean, was it Gatorade?
Yeah, it was Gatorade.
Yeah, okay, there it is.
That was too easy, wasn't it?
Too easy.
That's all my brain. That's all my brain could.
Your brain's done. And I'm gonna
Gatorade.
Little insider baseball. I'm gonna discuss that real quick because I know we've been going on. So you guys might not know this, but Bree Bragg, who works here, every week we do this show for a while now. She gives me a secret
You're
phrase.
going to give it away?
Yeah, because I mean it's fine. Because
I must have missed it.
She gives me a secret phrase that, like, the challenge is at some point throughout the broadcast or the show, I have to somehow work that secret phrase into the dialogue of this show. And like it's a little fun behind the scenes thing we do here. The phrase she gave me today is the most absurd thing any human has ever thought of and has ever came off the top of their noggin.
There what makes it so
way
fun.
I could have worked this.
No way.
Listen to this.
Let's hear this.
If I had $1 for every time my socks started a rebellion, I could buy a talking watermelon. That was the phrase she gave me today.
That's
and I'm going to call her out for this because when you get that ridiculous for the secret phrase, we kind of lose having fun. Yeah. At least make it realistic where I could work that into the show. If I had $1 for every time my socks started a rebellion, I could buy a talking watermelon.
Yeah. Now, see, if she would have said, maybe I could have bought my own shoe brand.
Maybe.
That's something, yeah. But
now, joke's on her. I just said it. Thanks for watching this episode of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show here on the Kokomo Post, partnered with Robert Miller & Son Furniture. We'll see you next time, Kokomo. Thanks for watching.
See you, Kokomo. That was a good one.
Big break.